Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to First Issue Tech. We're on episode 1, mission 17. We're crawling all the way around. Welcome, man. It's good to have you back, Courtney. How's it hanging today?
Man, it's hanging low, Kyle. Every day above ground is a blessing. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to First Issue Tech, mission 17. Like Kyle said, we're crawling low. We're hitting them high. We got some quick little details for you about some good stuff. Kyle, why don't you go let the people know what we got?
Absolutely. So, bada bing, going down the list, Google's got a new Project Treble, which will hopefully make it easier to get updates on your Android device in the future. Bada bing, Windows 10s, what is it, what's different about it, and why this is the best mobile version of Windows ever. And then speaking of Windows 10s, makes it a lot easier for Windows to embrace Kodi. You've probably heard about it. We'll talk about what's going on with that. You may be in for a little trouble if you have a rooted Android device and you want to play Netflix on your device. Might want to look into that. Uber is looking for new ways to screw you out of your wallet. More at that later. And Holy Trinity is coming together. Oh yes, you kids. Facebook, Instagram, and no, not Snapchat, but the Messenger app. They're now going to work together, finally. Stick around, we'll talk about all that. Bada bing, bada boom. So one thing that's been wrong with Android for a while, but one of the biggest things, is that we don't get updates. Some phones just never get updated, actually, because there's a 3-step process to making updates. They have to...
Fragmentation.
Yeah. So if you don't know, there's 3 steps. The first step is they take it to your chip manufacturer, i.e. Qualcomm, Huawei, or whoever makes... There's another kind of... There's a few more chips out there, obviously, but the main ones being Qualcomm and then the other subsidiaries. They take it to them first. After they're done with it, they pass it along to the manufacturer of the phone, and then that manufacturer has its way with it, does everything with it, and then they have to send it finally to your provider. Unless you have an unlocked phone, then they can usually skip that step. Sometimes it even takes longer, which is even weird, but essentially you have a 3-step process. With Android O, there is this project called Project Treble built into the Android open source platform to help alleviate that first step. It basically allows a quick way of putting it from my understanding, feel free to judge in any time, but it's essentially just almost like a OS level API that allows you to have these core little things that don't change between each process, and they're able to go in and make work. It essentially just makes it easier to bypass that step and have 1/3 less of the issue in upgrading.
So Apple doesn't have this problem. Why?
Because Apple has one device, one chipset, well, technically multiple chipsets, but they basically are able to have all of their devices tested because that's only going to support, Apple usually only supports back to, iOS 10 goes back to 5S, so the 5S, 6, 6S, 7, usually only 4 or 5 devices at a time. So they only have 4 chipsets to test and debug for, 1 phone and 1 operating system. So they actually are able to bypass the carrier altogether because the update is the same no matter what phone you have. So whenever any update is ready, they can just push it right out and everyone gets it. Having all of these different devices, different chips, and allowing the cell phone providers to add their little BS to it, which, by the way, y'all need to stop that.
Bloatware.
Just
stop with the fucking bloatware.
I don't see why we can't have the same experience on every phone. The phone should be the same no matter what carrier it's on. You know, if you have your T-Mobile, your AT&T app, or your Sprint app, cool. Force it to download that. But beyond that...
If I have a Galaxy S7, and my friend has a Galaxy S7, and my other friend has a Galaxy X7, and my other friend has a Galaxy S7, and we're on T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, why in the do we all have different services and settings and features? It's the same.
It's true.
Phone, same OS. What the fuck?
But hopefully now we're at least going to get things a little more together.
Can we stop having duplicated emails, duplicated messaging features, duplicated calendars? There's 2 of everything on every non-Google Android phone. There's going to be a lot of beeps in this month.
Slowly but surely, man. Slowly but surely. So before we get... We got our vending out. Windows 10S. We talked about it before.
Venting.
What's that? Oh, you never...
I'm never done venting. Venting is my life. I am that. Actually, I'm not, but I won't even say it. But venting is my life.
We're gonna have to liquid cool you, man. Someone get this man an AIO.
A little liquid cooling might do me some justice.
Nice. So we mentioned, if it wasn't last show, it was the show directly before that, talking about how the changes to the mobile platform for Windows. So we had for a brief time, obviously there was Windows 8 was trying to build for mobile, but you had laptops and you had tablets that were obviously running a mobile version of it, and then you had Windows RT, which was sort of like an in-between Windows 8 and Windows 10 on a mobile side, but really only running mobile apps and not having the full functionality in the ecosystem. So now Microsoft wants to come and bridge that gap. For their just in time for the new Surface Books and the Surface Pro, which I believe just dropped today, or May 23rd. I lost track of the date. Either way, essentially making it a much simpler, while keeping the simplicity of being a mobile-like ecosystem, but being able to run full Windows 10 apps. Running straight from the Microsoft Store. Any app on there does run. Any Microsoft app will run full-fledged, no-cut fat, full bore. So you were quite happy about this.
I am, but this is the Kyle Show today, ladies and gentlemen. You on fire. Keep going. When I'm ready to butt in and say something about something, when I feel like I need to put in my 30 cents, I will. But you keep rocking.
Well, this is what happens when you're able to go free. I'm backed up a little bit so I can project today. But that's not why we're here. That's not what we're talking about. So yeah, Windows 10S, and I believe actually Windows 10S owners, they're doing the Windows thing, and for the first year, they're offering a. Do you remember?
$50.
It's still $50 upgrade, because I remember the story was changing. It was either there was one point where it was going to be free to upgrade to Pro, and then there was another $50 for the first year. So I wasn't sure if they decided on if it was steady $50 or if they went for free.
No, it's 50. They're doing 50.
Which really sucks, because I just realized the Surface Pro, when I just looked up a preview for it, the Surface Pro they pulled an Apple, it doesn't include the keyboard or the pen.
And it's not called Surface Pro 5. It's just Surface Pro.
Yeah, which I'm fine with that, because I'm fine with that if you plan on refreshing every year. So you can simply just call, Apple did it for a while. You would have your Mac and Mac Pro, and then just you define by what.
See, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the every year thing. I would, like right now you have the 2012 MacBook Pro. Mm-hmm. You have the 2015 MacBook, 17. 2017 MacBook Pro with the useless touch slider thing. Gimmicks. Do they not have incubators? Not incubators. What the are they called? Where they have people come in and talk about the product?
Test groups?
Yeah, that's that thing. Mm-hmm. Bunch of freaking morons. Not the smart people, the dummies out there in the world. Did they all just come in and say, oh, this is great. Yeah, Apple, go ahead and do it. Or did someone sit down and say, hey, Apple, look, we've been running this through a different think tanks and talking to different people, and no one really likes it. Oh, it's okay. We're going to put it on there anyway.
Well, here's how I see that happening. You're
going to charge me $2,000 for a freaking laptop that, one, sucks for gaming, and two, has some bull connections I can't connect my iPhone to, and then three, I have to become like the dongle man, and then
dongle man,
this damn touch slider that if you touch it the wrong way, it says "f you."
Are they failing? I haven't heard about anything like that. Do they have touch errors, or what do you mean?
Just probably from stupid users.
So
Look, my stupid users comments is not to insult any of you smart users, okay? So if you feel like you know your stuff, then I'm not talking about you. And if you don't like the fact that I call users stupid, then f*** you, go listen to something else.
Man, whoever edits this is going to have a really damn good time. So I do believe that they have test groups. However, Apple, they're really great salesmen, particularly Tim Cook. I mean, he started from the business division. So basically, every Apple feature...
worked his way to the top.
Every Apple feature works great in a vacuum. Everything, all of the features, when integrated and displayed properly, are amazing. When you have the ideal setup and you can go, because that's what I imagine. Now, this is all, I'm putting this out there, pure speculation. But if they have these test groups, which they definitely have to have a test group, they probably bring them into controlled situations or show them or have these demo units. And they have them run through everything. You know, all of Apple's features, the touch bar and everything works great when you put it in a specific use case. Like Apple's own, specifically, most likely Apple's own applications and Apple's own ecosystem. So everything obviously flows and works best between them. It's when you introduce third-party applications and use cases that these things start to fall, and they're probably not adapted as well. Touch ID, for instance, when Touch ID first came on the scene, it obviously works great for Apple's own applications, but most third-party apps weren't updated to use it, and it took quite a long time for it to even come around. And now very few people even use Touch ID, which, granted, give or take, it's hard to train iPhone users to do something different because you're on an ecosystem that's well, it's simply, I won't necessarily, because this transcends the sheep, but when you have
change the camera. I'm sorry I'm hating on, go ahead.
I mean, the Apple ecosystem is built around simplicity, so most people that have stuck with the iPhones over the years, they've gotten used to how they specifically use their device, and all of these new features, most of them either don't know about them or they're told about them and usually forget about them, because the iPhones are best for habitual users and people that have used their phones in very specific ways or for very specific things. So they're not for the enthusiasts, and they're not for the people that tend to go for these new crazy features, unless Apple has something specific for you. Like, I actually still kind of miss 3D Touch, to be totally honest. But that's a very specific case. So that's why I assume, like I said, the test groups come in there and everything's in a specific way. So that's why you have your test groups that don't point out these things, because they don't get to use them in the wild where everything really takes hold and you see the true colors.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that was, we started talking about Windows and we started talking about Apple. This happens all the time.
It kind of does. I wasn't saying anything because I'm like, we're talking about
you started it,
things that Windows is doing, and then the hate for the sour rotten apple that put Snow White to sleep start coming out.
Bringing it back, Windows 10s uses all. Man, we didn't even really talk about that. It's basically.
Yeah, no, actually, we talked about Windows S in the earlier on the last podcast.
So yeah, we
went into detail a little bit about ARM and RT, and I was kind of stumbling around because you caught me off guard. But I think for the most part, it's the same thing. RT is a little more progressed, but ARM, the way Windows 10s works, it can really take full advantage of the ARM chips, so the ARM chipset.
And everything that runs Windows 10s will most likely also have support for full-on Intel processors as well, not just the ARM. But ARM, of course, is quite nice because it's power efficiency, and it also produces less heat. So those chips, like I believe with the Surface Pro, the very bottom, going back to that, which is really cool, the first two, the bottom two tiers, the first one is an M3 processor, which is the ARM processor, and then you have the Core i5 series, and both of them are actually passively cooled. They're fanless, so you get a practically silent experience on those things, which is incredibly dope in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
So yeah, but I am mad that they took away the damn pen and the keyboard, which makes it a Surface.
It does, because to buy a Surface and not get the pen with it. But the funny thing is, buying a Surface Pro 3 right now is still more than worth it. And if I can get my hands on a 512 Surface Pro 3 i7 for less than $800, I would totally buy it.
Oh yeah, man, definitely.
I would totally 100% buy it. And then between my Samsung Notebook 9 i7, I love this laptop, but to have a Surface and this, that'd be, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I can tell you one thing is a lot.
Maybe I'll sell this one and then buy that.
Ooh, that's a good idea. A lot of other people will probably have a different idea because I'm going to briefly touch on this because I feel a very certain way.
Always touching something. Go ahead. You got your lubricant?
All I can say is I have a good lawyer. Just kidding. I don't have a good lawyer.
Oh, man.
So yeah,
who are you about to touch on?
what I'm not going to touch on is Cody as a whole. But as you guessed it, yeah, we're gonna mention that apparently Cody hit the Microsoft Store, the Microsoft App Store, and went huge.
Well, you don't have to say Microsoft App Store because it's all one thing now. So whether you're on a desktop, phone, or a tablet, it's all the same store.
True, nice.
It's not fragmented like Apple.
Funny, we were just mentioning how they weren't fragmented, but they are fragmented on that. You have a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Microsoft Store, it blew up over millions of downloads in only a few months. It just dropped on there in September of last year, so it's going crazy. Obviously,
in 6 months, it's one of the most popular apps. Wow, it's one of the most popular apps in the Windows Store.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say that's good if you like Kodi and what it does. If you don't know what Kodi is, I'm not gonna explain it. I'm anti-piracy pretty much all the way, so I'm not gonna give its little thing. Do your research. But I'm really
Kodi. That's Kodi. And if you know anything about Fire Stick TV, Fire TV Stick, what's that thing Amazon has?
Yeah,
the Google thing.
Amazon Fire Stick.
There you go.
Not the
Amazon
Google Chrome.
Fire Stick. If you know anything about that, then you have an idea what Kodi is capable of.
Most likely, yeah, because it's very hard to find one that's not jailbroken these days. So yeah, I'm actually very, just like we were mentioning earlier, I'm surprised to see how long that's going to stay on there before it starts to get legal backlash and before someone like HBO or Showtime comes after Windows and say, hey, you're harboring pirates, let them go.
I mean, as long as they keep Game of Thrones off of there, they'll probably be okay.
Ooh.
But we'll see. I mean, you got over 1.5 million users, like active daily users, and you've got over 1 billion user minutes already between September and now. That's crazy. And it's in the top 10 of all the apps that's in the Windows Store. Mm-hmm. It's in the top 10.
It's impactful.
Yeah, some impact. It's got a lot of girth.
You know what says impact?
No, tell me.
These nuts. Good night, peeps. No, if you
I fell for that bullshit crap.
Yeah, I'm like 2 years too late on that one.
I thought you were talking about Netflix.
Yeah, this one, there's not much to say on this one.
That's impact. That's impact, and that's where I thought you were going.
True.
Netflix has decided that, with their rights management, if you're using unlocked devices, rooted devices rather, then you're not going to be able to get access to Netflix. I'm like, what? Netflix? What the hell is wrong with you? Because I've rooted my phone and I want to use whatever I want to use my phone to do whatever I want to do with my phone, the device I paid for, and I'm paying for your services. You're going to tell me that I need to switch to something else? I need to not use Netflix?
I don't really get DRM for rooted phones because I get that normally you'd have a disclaimer say, hey, it might not work properly because your phone's rooted, but do your thing, which that comes with the territory of having a rooted phone.
And anybody that knows how to root their phone knows the consequences of the lack of security and some dysfunctional or some crazy features. They know it's going to happen. And
not to mention now that it's very few Android phones really don't need to be rooted. There's very few things that you can't do. Obviously, there's still quite a few specific things, but most users obviously don't need the root to get a lot of these crazy features that are now making their way. So I don't see too many people. I don't know really anyone that rocks a rooted phone unless they have an older phone and do it because it obviously increases performance. So since you can have something that takes full advantage of your hardware. But as a whole, why even bother? I can get it for jailbroken iPhones because that's a little different thing altogether. That could introduce other problems, or I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's a different scenario. I didn't really think that one through, but specifically on Android,
there's really not much to think about because it doesn't make sense because it's rooted and there's no clear explanation. I mean, what they said was a bogus excuse. So it's just as bad as Uber and their new pricing model that's not really new, but it just kind of came out. They just going to magically start playing with the numbers.
Yeah.
So Uber's going to charge you $10, but pay the driver $3 and still not allow you to tip the driver. And they're going to take that extra money instead of passing it on to the driver. This is one of the main reasons I stopped driving for Uber over a year ago. I did it. I was happy. I had fun doing it for almost a year, and then the pay kept dropping, and the pay kept dropping, and the pay kept dropping. And then when it came to file my taxes, it said I made a whole lot more money than I actually made because you can see everything that you get every month, all your income, and then what they give you for your tax form, and it's a breakdown of every month. Those numbers don't jive. And I've reached out, at the time, I reached out more than 20 times to get an explanation, to try to get some help, get it corrected. And they never did. So I never drove again. So this whole machine learning algorithm they're doing, sorry for Bogart and just deboing this Uber thing.
You good? That's...
Yeah, so they changed it. They, try to mix it up a little bit with Uber Pool and how you drive from point A to point B. So they're running all of these different what's it called? Topography, all these geolocations, all these different. I'm sorry, I'm mumbling. I don't sound like I'm talking about people, but Uber really just kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I really, really don't like Uber. Like Uber's really, really bugging me. Sorry, Uber bothers me. It bothers me. I hope I'm coming in clear to you guys. So I'm gonna start over because.
No, you're good.
Okay.
So
because Uber just kind of when those things that bug you, like for some people it's nails on a chalkboard or somebody else's voice, but for me now it's Uber. Uber is the tech devil. I used to call Apple and AT&T the devil, but maybe they're all devils and they're all related and they're all having like this cesspool freaking menage a trois fucking whatever of sex and people out of their money and just not caring. Uber is a shitty company to work for, and yes, I'm saying it. I'm not afraid to say it because you've got these men from like with this 1950s state of mind. Like women are to be put up. They are the cradle of life. Without a woman, there would be no men. So when you have all these intelligent men running this company, and then you get intelligent women, they feel threatened, and they should, because what? It's a proven 100% fact that women are better engineers and programmers than men. Hands down. Oh, you need some more proof? How do we get the fucking moon? How do we get a spaceship off the ground? Wasn't a man. It was a few women who were smarter than a computer, which is probably true to the fact today. Anyway, Uber, you. And I deleted Uber, and I recommended everybody else delete the Uber app, and no matter what they entice you with to go back, don't use it. I'm not a fan of Lyft. I'm really not a fan of Lyft at all, but they are nowhere near as trifling and conniving and just as Uber.
Yeah, no doubt. They do some really shady, and I'm glad actually I didn't know you worked for them. So that was
you don't actually work for Uber. You kind of do your own thing. Yeah, like you just do whatever. You just work whenever you want to work. You just log in, you just turn the app on, and you just work whenever you want to work, and then they pay you.
Right.
But I know what you're saying. But go ahead. Yeah, I did it for a whole year, and I had fun doing it. Like I would get off of work from when I was doing advertising sales, which I didn't need to do Uber. I was making plenty of money, but it was fun. It was something for me to do, a way to talk to people, interact with different people, and to do different, and just to do something different. And I would walk out of work, turn the app on, bing, 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 ride request come right in. I accept it, go pick people up, take them to work, pick them up from work, whatever. Just talking, having a good time, and it was cool.
So yeah, that's the one thing I was looking for was an inside view, because that's the main thing. Looking at
they treat women like I have no respect for any company that treats a woman like sorry.
I want to delve on that later. That's a really interesting story.
Buy the women a leather jacket. Buy the women a leather jacket. They bought all the men jackets, but they told the women if they wanted jackets, they had to pay for them themselves. You, Uber. Sorry. Sexual harassment? What? Whatever. Respect the women. That's all I'm saying. Respect them. I mean, if I walk around, if I smack a girl, so what? I'm not a $1 billion company. But when you're a $1 billion company and you got women that can actually help and improve your product, you respect the women. You love the women, because these women, you wouldn't be here without them. Sorry, I'm done.
Word. All right. So we're going to end on a little higher note. We got one last thing to go over. Facebook Messenger, Instagram. You no longer have to open them individually. They already incorporated Messenger right into the Facebook app by giving that little button at the top right where you can switch right back and forth between them. Now they're going to do the same same but a little better for Instagram as well. So essentially, the same way that you see messages pop or notifications for messages pop up in Facebook now, they're going to incorporate Instagram right in that as well. So you can directly hop on over or check when you have new notifications in Instagram itself right from your Facebook app, and you can go straight to your messages to Instagram all within the same app, bringing them all together, making it a little easier for your little teenage socialites to communicate and whatever y'all do these days. I don't know. I'm too late for it. If they bought Snapchat and did it, this would be world shattering for a lot of sub 20-year-olds. But not there yet. They don't have that much money, or they just haven't really tried. I don't know. So it's kind of nice for me because I do actually use those apps way more than I use Snaptagrams. But that's just me. I'm a unique demographic. It's kind of nice though, but it's gonna kind of make it a little lonely because I'll feel like I don't have really as much incentive to open up the app anymore. I don't know. How do you feel?
I don't care because I don't care about Facebook Messenger. I don't care about Instagram, and I just use Facebook to spit knowledge or to say crazy things. I do think that since you own all the platforms, I'm just surprised there's no mention of WhatsApp. I guess they want to keep that completely separate for now, but it does make it easier for users. If you have a product, multiple products with a lot of the same users using those multiple products, I think it makes sense to implement for that implementation of cross-platform notifications or communications between them. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a smart move. I just wonder, are they going to do something like that with WhatsApp to kind of keep people always engaged?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing too when I looked over, because like an idiot I didn't actually realize they had acquired Instagram, or kind of glossed over the knowledge because it happened so far back. I think it was 2012 or probably, but I actually didn't know they acquired Instagram, so I went back and checked and then I saw they got WhatsApp as well. So but yeah, that doesn't, even now that Facebook Messenger is so integrated into your experience already, they're trying to go so far as to be your SMS Messenger app as well. Why don't they just kind of have a third tab, like a green color bubble for your WhatsApp contacts?
Yep.
That would make perfect sense to me.
I say just put them all together. I think it makes sense. It works.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is such a different experience. They're most different user base, because most people using WhatsApp are using it to communicate overseas.
Sure.
Most people that I know that have the app, this is all personal experience, so I'll go ahead and put that out there. Most people I know that use WhatsApp use it for talking to people overseas, or when otherwise long distance charges would be in place, or people that don't have or don't use Facebook as much, they bypass and use WhatsApp. What has your experience with WhatsApp been like?
WhatsApp is actually pretty cool, because if you're a Sprint user, you can't do voice over LT or multitask. So if you use Voice App for all your phone calls, you can still get your messages, check your email, use data, and make crystal clear phone calls using WhatsApp. So I do know a lot of people that use WhatsApp. I don't use it as much as I used to. I used to use it a long time ago, but I don't really talk to anybody often. I have a couple buddies overseas. I have a friend in Amsterdam and I have a friend in Scotland, but that's it. I don't talk to them that much. And then even still, Facebook Message or something like that. And as far as Facebook Messenger, it's normally my sister or one of my relatives that send me a message, but I don't really use a messenger. But I think this whole thing, I think it'll work out, especially because of the amount of people that will be using it. It'll be a success.
Yeah, and it's probably there to entice more engagement, because I remember most articles keep hankering on the fact that each app would have their own notification badges, and apparently people don't like going and having to clear them one by one through each of the three apps. Incorporating them all would kind of allow one way to go back and check all of the notifications from each, or even just kind of eliminate one of the apps altogether. At least as far on your homepage is concerned, it still needs to exist. But that's probably as far as it's going to go. I don't think it's earth-shattering, but...
Do you know anything about Black Lightning, the comic book hero?
No.
Alright, well, you have to do your research because he's coming to the CW. I just wanted to end the show with a little excitement for all you comic book fans. If you watch The Flash, Supergirl, you get excited for the Justice League movie.
Is Black Lightning associated with Shazam?
No. That would be Black Adam.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So you got Supergirl, you got Flash, you got Black Lightning, you got Legends of Tomorrow. You've got Inhumans. Do you know anything about Inhumans? Oh, come on, you got to get your comic game up because this is some real good TV that we're about to get.
Nah, I haven't been. I've been out of the comic book game for a while.
That's okay. I wouldn't admit that on air.
Hey, until once they start throwing the Green Lantern universe in there, I'm gonna be dead set hooked, and you're gonna have a loyal fan. But until they do that, that's my jam. Green Lantern universe.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. We do want to thank you for joining us again for another mission. I think we left enough bodies on the ground right now, enough F-bombs. So there's going to be a lot of beeps in this episode. Hope you enjoyed all the beeps that you were listening to. Every time you heard me say or shit, there was a beep. So do want to thank you guys for joining in. It was a beautiful day today, and I'm just glad you just stayed around all this time. So keep listening to our show, share our show with people, let everybody know that how entertaining we are sometimes to listen to, and that you just can't get enough of us, and that you just love the fact that we just don't give a and we say whatever we want.
Beautiful. Thank you guys, and you know what? We love you. See you again next time. Good night.